May, May 2025, Memorial Day weekend. Happy Memorial Day weekend to everybody. And let's talk about a little wrestling because a big weekend of wrestling. You have SmackDown Friday, Saturday night's main event, NXT on Sunday, Raw on Monday, and then NXT on Tuesday. But before we get, we're definitely gonna do NXT Battleground. So I want to see Trick Willie versus well, no, Average Joe. He called him Average Joe. Put that song on repeat. And it's your boy Icon with another wrestling review for you. And before we get started, hit that notification bell, like it or subscribe because it takes 2 seconds to hit that button, and check out my other videos, and let's boost those watch time hours as we go over Saturday night's main event. So for the main event, and there were a lot of main events. Only 5 matches, of course, but in all 5 of these matches, you know, these matches could pretty much main event like other shows. So, but this one kicked off with the tag team match player with Seth Rollins. Well, they don't have a name for their group yet, I don't think, but it's Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker along with Paul Heyman versus Sami Zayn and everyone's favorite Chicago-made Punk. Now, Punk needs to shave a little bit because he's looking very grizzly. He's looking very grizzly. So in this tag match, again, like, you know, there was the whole thing with, like, can Punk trust Sammy? Can Sammy trust Punk? You know, like, what's going to happen? But the match kicked off very good. It was very back and forth. Punk actually looked more spry like than usual. He did a code red at some point, and then, you know, he was doing like a lot of his old moves. He was flying all over the place. That was very impressive to see that. You know, I said Braun Breaker was out there doing what Braun Breaker does, and Seth was doing stuff that Seth does. So towards the end of the match, Paul Heyman got involved, where like he grabbed someone's foot. You know, like Paul Heyman tried to cheat, and towards the end of the match, there was a moment where CM Punk was sitting outside. He was outside by the barricade. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, somebody came in and rammed CM Punk into the barricade and knocked him out, took him out. And then when the cameras zoomed in, we found out it was the returning Big Bronson Reed. And then after Bronson Reed had put him through the barricade, Sammy was caught off guard. And then that's when he got hit with the Braun Breaker missile spear. Hit him right out of his boots. And then they got the 1-2-3 victory, and Sammy and CM Punk lost this match. And then Bronson Reed got in the ring. He had a stare down with Braun Breaker, you know, because again, remember Seth Rollins actually fought Bronson Reed at Saudi Arabia. So the two of them do have beef, you know, that stems from that. But then after that, like Seth Rollins, he hugged Bronson Reed, and then he was just like, then Paul was like, oh look, we've recruited him, like he's on our team. And then, you know, he shook hands with Braun Breaker. So now Seth got all the big guys. The thing is, it's crazy because when you got a guy like Braun Breaker and then you got Bronson Reed on your team, it's like now it makes Seth look like the little guy, you know, because it's like, why would these two behemoths now listen to you? You know, so I feel like when this is all said and done, like, yeah, they're definitely going to turn on his ass, but Seth definitely got himself some backup. He got himself some, you know, some plausible backup, you know, with Bronson Reed and with, you know, with Braun Breaker. So now their group is growing ever strong. And I guess like when we talk about programs, the first program is most likely going to be CM Punk versus Bronson Reed to get to Seth Rollins, because after that they beat up CM Punk and then they hit him with the tsunami. Where's Wade Barrett when you need him? So he got hit with the tsunami, and then after he got hit with the tsunami, you know, like Punk was laid out, and then Seth Rollins, his crew was standing tall. So that was nice, and that was interesting. So I guess we're not going to get John Cena versus CM Punk Money in the Bank for the championship, but we are leading towards, you know, like a big matchup between CM Punk and Bronson Reed. You know, and I see Bronson Reed back, and I'm definitely here for it, and I want to see where this one progresses. Next up was that hot mess Chelsea Green along with the Secret Hervis, and they were taking on the Women's United States Champion Zelina Vega, because they added her name back to her entrance music, and it helps. Like, it definitely helps. I mean, her song's not bad. I don't like the intro. I don't like how the intro starts. I don't like how her song starts. I think that's probably why they added her voice back to it. But I just feel like the song needs a little more. Okay, obviously, she's Puerto Rican. She's American. You know, you gave it a little, like, you know, salsa vibe or whatever. But I'm like, we could do more with that song. Like, we could do a little bit better. But, you know, but anyway, during the match, there was a moment where Chelsea Green, like, she was in the position for the 619. Zelina Vega went to go hit the 619, and I guess, like, when Zelina tried to, like, fly through the rope to hit the 619, her foot got caught, so she didn't quite get it all the way. But one foot got caught in the rope, so she tried to hit her with the leg that was free, and then she busted Chelsea Green right in the nose, and then she caused her nose to bleed. You know, she hit the code red, you know, like off the code of silence, code red, I forget which one it's called. She hit her finisher, like off the top rope. And I don't know if she's going to keep doing it now because Roxanne Perez is on the, you know, on the roster now. She's calling it the Pop Rocks, so one of them's going to have to change the damn finisher. But anyway, but she hit that off the top rope, and then she got the 1-2-3 victory. And Zelina Vega is still, the women's United States champion, and I'm happy for that because like I like her as United States champion. I like her in that role. But now that she's defeated Chelsea Green, because this is why I keep saying this, SmackDown needs more girls because you've got Mia, you got Michin and I was about to call her Brianna and B-Fab. You have the two of them in a tag team that are gunning for tag team championships that don't exist right now, and they're basically going after the Secret Service, the Secret Harvest. And you got Zelina Vega, who's the champion. You got Chelsea Green. I'm like, after that, like, what are the others? Like, as far as like mid card is concerned, who else is there? Like, who else do we have? Bianca's about to come back soon, but she's not fighting for U.S. Gold. Like Naomi, Jade, and maybe Candice LeRae will fight her. Like, that's the only person I could think of. SmackDown needs more girls. Like, you got a whole lot of women on NXT. Bring at least two of them. You brought over Julia, that's a good start, but bring like two other girls over from SmackDown and from NXT to SmackDown because they definitely need more girls. But that's a kudos to Zelina Vega. Happy to see her retain that championship belt, and we're moving on to the next match. Sweet Jesus, the next match was John Cena versus R-Truth. And I understand he didn't earn it. Like I get he didn't actually earn it, but we all know John Cena was going to win the match. Like, we knew R-Truth wasn't going to beat John Cena. So if John Cena was going to win the match, they should have just made it a title match. Because the thing is, making it a non-title match is just basically saying, yeah, he's definitely not going to win, and we don't even want to leave it to chance. And then there was a part of me that thought, I was like, well, shit, now that it's a non-title match, maybe R-Truth might actually beat him. But, but no, R-Truth actually came out dressed as John Cena. The babyface John Cena. He did all the stuff that the babyface John Cena would do. I did find that a little annoying. I feel like John Cena does need to change the gimmick though, because it's kind of weird. But in the end, there was a moment where like R-Truth was trying to tell him like, what about the hustle, the loyalty, and the respect? And then Cena was going to hit him with the belt or the chair, or the belt. He's going to hit him with the belt. And then he kind of felt bad after a while, and he was just like, no, I can't do it. That's not the right thing to do. And then when he gave the belt to the referee, and the referee the referee turned his back to go put the belt away, John Cena kicked him in the nuts, like hit him with the AA, and then pinned him and got the 1-2-3 victory. So like he fell for that. Yeah, like nobody picked R-Truth to win this shit. But backstage, John Cena, he bumped into Jey Uso, main event Jey Uso, and he basically told him, he said, after Logan Paul beat you and then I retire and go home, he said that the only champion in WWE is going to be a YouTuber, and that's going to be on you because you're not on my level. So they're obviously teasing something between, because I think the Saudi Arabia show is coming up, like the Crown Jewel Championship, that big ass belt that Cody and Gunther fought for. I believe that's coming up. So if that's the case, we are going to get Uso versus John Cena, which is also cool because they were the two final people in the Royal Rumble. I don't know who's Cena's. Well, no, but then we'll get to that in the end. So but that was it. John Cena beat R-Truth. We're moving on. Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre steel cage match followed. Jesse the Body Ventura was on commentary for this one, and thanks to a concerto, Damian Priest got his WrestleMania revenge, and he beat Drew McIntyre. And this made perfect sense to me, because after he hit him with a concerto, it's over. Like, that's like getting hit with a sledgehammer. If you get hit with a sledgehammer, you're not supposed to get up after that. So when he gave him the concerto, Drew didn't move, and then Damian Priest just told them to open the door, and then he just exited the cage because Drew was not going to get up because he got concerto. That makes perfect sense. However, for whatever reason, Jesse the Body blew a gasket, and he was like, oh, you're going to escape the door? That's not a manly thing to do. Like, oh, you think you're a tough guy because you walked out the door? And I'm just like, I get it. Back in Jesse's day, back then, the rules were you had to escape the cage. Like, that was the only rule. There was no walking out of the door. I understand that. But then he goes, why don't you be a man and climb over the cage? And I'm like, what the hell was the point? Even if you, like, Drew McIntyre is dead. He got hit with a concerto. He's not getting up. Why would you climb over the cage? Why would you climb the cage and go over the top rope and onto the floor and risk injury or cutting your hands or getting yourself hurt climbing over the cage when you can just walk out the door because the man's clearly not moving? I'm like, I like Jesse, but nah. Like nobody with a sense of brain would do something like that. And, but then Priest walked out. Priest walked out. So the two of them are most likely going to have one more match because, like, Drew got the WrestleMania victory. Priest got this victory. The two of them are most likely going to have one more match, and then they're going to have to find somebody else for Drew McIntyre and for Damian Priest to fight. But as I said, but a good match by both. Can't complain. And I just, I like to see the progression of both of them rise because Drew needs to win a belt at some point, and Damian Priest, his stock needs to rise. So, let's say good cage match for them, and we'll see how this continues on SmackDown. And finally, the World Heavyweight Championship match that should have closed the show. Main event, Jey Uso versus Logan Paul. Just to skip to the end here. I mean, I'm confused about whether or not this was no DQ or not because towards the end, John Cena showed up and pulled the referee out of the ring. I'm like, that's a disqualification. And then John Cena gets in the ring, he gets involved, he starts fighting, this whole big thing happens, and then while the two of them are fighting, while Jey Uso's fighting off Cena and Logan Paul and like all this crazy shit, Cody Rhodes' music hit, and I'm like, wow, Cody's back. Cody Rhodes, like he got cheered, like he got cheered by the audience. Thank goodness for Tampa. Cody Rhodes shows up, and then after Cody Rhodes shows up and starts fighting off John Cena, then Jey Uso gets off the top rope, does the splash, and he pins Logan Paul. And I'm like, I thought the match was thrown out due to disqualification. I'm like, was this not disqualification? So then they start fighting. Cena's on the outskirts, Paul's on the outskirts, and then Cody Rhodes grabs the microphone and says that at Money in the Bank, it's going to be Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso versus John Cena and Logan Paul. And I'm like, isn't Logan Paul, is it Money in the Bank? Like, because I'm like, I thought Logan Paul was in Money in the Bank, but maybe he's not. I guess I must have missed that too. I forget who even qualified for Money in the Bank at this point, but Cody's back. Can't complain about that. Cody Rhodes is back, thank goodness. So now I guess Cody's gonna be his Cena's opponent at SummerSlam. I said we're getting that tag match. Somebody's probably gonna get cashed in on. That was how Saturday night's main event ended. And thank you for tuning in. This was actually a really good show. I definitely enjoyed this show because it had a lot of big matches. It had big names. It had meaningful matches. I don't want to say big names. Like, it had meaningful matches. Like, the matches meant stuff. And they set up storylines, like, for later on down the line. Aside from the match, the championship match was pretty much no DQ, which confused the shit out of me. Like I said, I thought overall it was good. So share your questions, comments, and concerns down below. Let me know what you thought about Saturday night's main event. I give it a yeet. And we're moving on to NXT Battleground tonight. So check out my other reviews because I got my coverage for WrestleMania up on my channel, like the 2-night WrestleMania extravaganza, NXT Stand and Deliver, so you guys can check that out as well as we roll on for some more wrestling later on this weekend. So that was it, guys. So thanks for tuning in. Until next time for some more wrestling action. We'll see you at Battleground. And until then, 4 letters, 1 word. Yeet.